You try it.
Tyler Perry, Tyler Perry, Tyler Perry, Tyler Perry, Tyler Perry.
You're a little better at it than I am.
It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, and superheroes, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris Dillard.
And my name is Mike Royer.
And this week, we're getting excited for The Mandalorian's second season this Friday, Mike.
Oh, it's so close. I can eat it with candy corn, so that's all that matters.
Mentally, I'm still in March. Physically, we're at the end of October, so we'll take a look at that. Justice League is bringing back all the DC side characters you know and love for Justice League. Oh my
gosh. I was trying to think of a pun, like, you know, it's the Snyder cut, but it's getting wider, so it's the wider cut. Oh, I saved that just for you.
Here's the thing. I don't think he's cutting anything. That's the problem. It's not the Snyder cut. It's the Snyder edition, really.
He's gluing. He's done cutting. He's gluing.
Yeah, he is finding these actors in other movies and just taking those frames and putting them in here. Well,
yeah, take the glue away from him.
Probably going to get a whole Citizen Kane right in the middle of it. So we've got that going for us. We get our first look at the Uncharted movie. It's actually filming, Mike. Oh, my gosh. And more.
Yeah, it's funny that the Uncharted movie is here, but I don't even know who the director is. I'm sure you can enlighten me once we get to that part of the show. But, like, yeah, they've been running through directors just as fast as The Flash has been running through directors. So it's also one of those, it's like a cursed Sony video game property. You know, you never know if it's actually going to take off. But Tom Holland has been seen in the costume, so it's off and running.
Oh,
right?
And we got more for that, Mike. Stuff you haven't even seen yet. So we're gonna get there. But I mean, we've always joked, will it or won't it kind of happen? And you know, what was it? They got a day before filming, and then everything closed down earlier this year. So they got to get Tom Holland before he either grows up or goes to film more Spider-Man movies.
You just reminded me of simpler times when David Letterman was on the air and he had that bit, "Will it float?" Do you remember that? That was great. You were just like, yeah, will it float? If you're unaware, it was just this asinine sketch that just would almost seemed like to fill time, but it was like the most entertaining thing. And if you think about it, I'm sure there's tons of social media accounts that are strictly for will things float, now that I think about it. But it's, he would just bring out like something like a watermelon. You'd be like, all right, do we think it's gonna float? And he would just ask the people like on the set, like, hey, do you think this is gonna float? And then they'd dunk it in and the crowd would cheer or whatever. Man, simpler times, right?
Oh, well, you wouldn't have no prize for that one, Mike. Finding that out. That reminds me of the YouTube channel Will It Blend?
Oh, yeah.
Where they put everything from brand new expensive ass iPhones to packs of gum in a blender, and they just see if it'll blend.
Shout out for my favorite new Twitter account. It's called Gripping Food with Force.
Oh, yep.
I just found that. It's usually just a 2-photo formula of a food product in somebody's hand. Then the second photo is them gripping it, and then I don't know if they're taking like a burst shot on their phone or they're just really lucky with their shutter, but they usually get it a great shot of it kind of exploding or smushing or spraying. I love it.
No food is safe from this force gripping. No food is safe. I've seen Twinkies and real whole meals and everything. So
sometimes people get clever with it, like somebody had a handful of peanuts, and then in the crushed photo is peanut butter. So I think that's okay every once in a while. But I want my crushing food with force or gripping food with force to be pure. I want a pure experience because, like, honestly, it's just very satisfying to be like, yeah, sometimes you do just want to squeeze that food, even though you do want to eat it. I want to see it squeezed first.
Well, I 100% agree with that. Gotta leave it unadulterated. I'm going to jump into, this isn't our news yet, we're going to get there, but I feel vindicated a little bit, but to Mike's chagrin. Me and friend of the show, Quentin Parker, have been giving you some ribbon on this one for the past 6 months. Quibi is officially shutting down on December 1st, they announced this week. It went through the trades pretty quickly, but like the day before, I just sent you, hey, they put the Apple TV app and the Firestick TV and the Roku stick, apps on there, so you can watch Quibi on your TV now. Then we're not doing it anymore. So,
and I will feel vindicated just after that, because that was a weird whirlwind of news, because we said on the show before that whenever they get around to putting Quibi on TVs, when they said so strictly this is a mobile on-the-go experience only, once they put it on TVs, they are desperate. That is their last-ditch effort to get people to watch their stuff. And the next day, I mean, to be fair, it's insider information. Apparently, it's a very secure and trustworthy source from the inside that's saying Quibi is shutting down. So I don't know if we've officially gotten word. Okay,
that's
so
why we have the date now. They after it leaked on like that was it Wednesday or something, Thursday. The next day they were like, yes, we will turn off all of our services on December 1st. Which is interesting because I saw a video today. You're a big fan of the Cranberry video with Fleetwood Mac, right?
Yeah.
So they're still filming the newest season of Reno 911 for Quibi.
Yeah, that was wild to see that.
And they're still, so they had one of the guys, I think his name's Cedric Yarbrough. He was doing humming that song with everyone in there, like in there. So they had like the whole crew of Reno 911. I think it was yesterday even, and Jamie Lee Curtis is apparently in it as well, wearing an eye patch. So I was like, oh, what do you do with a show that's currently in production if it's not gonna stream on this service? Will it sell? Will it go to somewhere else? Will these rights essentially will they sell them to other online distributors?
Yeah,
or what?
From what I'm hearing is they're selling it for parts.
Yeah.
Obviously you can sell some of the content, and maybe if some of it's good enough, maybe another streaming service like, I don't know, Paramount Plus, that's maybe trying to entice some viewers, might buy some Quibi shows on the cheap, then produce season 2s. I could easily see who owns Comedy Central? Is that Viacom?
Viacom. Oh.
So that would be Paramount Plus.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's why I thought you said that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Paramount Plus could be poised to maybe buy this second season of Reno 911.
And the first.
They could have like a little shorts section, or maybe they'll just stitch them all together to make something like 30 minutes.
They felt. I mean, again, it's a skit show, right? Like you really, when you watch Reno 911, you don't know when it's going to start and end. So. They could definitely put it in the 30 minutes, or just put up the 10-minute episodes. I mean, that works for on HBO Max. I was like, is it Go? Yeah. Is it Now? I'm like, which one does I have? Regular show, right? That's a 10-minute episode. So,
I mean, as revolutionary as you may or may not think the turnstile feature of Quibi was, I believe in some fashion it was patented technology that they licensed, that they could license out to somebody else, or I guess in this case sell to somebody. So who knows, maybe like Apple or Netflix might buy that bit of Quibi up. So just in case they wanted to do that in the future, they have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I can see Apple, a mobile device maker, and they're trying to bolster their Apple TV Plus offerings, probably doing something gimmicky like that for something. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting thing. I mean, I hate to see it suffer. It came out at a weird time, right? And suffered that no one was going anywhere and watching things on their phone anymore.
Also, I would say TikTok rose very, very quickly over this year. I'm an old man that's slow on the upkeep now, or I guess uptick now, and it seems like TikTok really took off over this pandemic, or at least started to kind of eclipse the popularity of like Snapchat and Instagram. So, I mean, if you're looking for mobile entertainment, I mean, Quibi wasn't just battling with streaming services. It was battling with social media services for short form content. So, I mean, with a pandemic on top of that, I mean, at the end of the day, like I always say, do not feel bad for any of these rich people that invested in Quibi. They either deserve all of their money being ripped away from them, or they just have more money to bounce back on.
Yeah, it was a calculated risk that they knew if they suffered, they could still survive.
Yeah. I thought the best sentiments were creators were tweeting, like stand-up comedian that I really like, Ron Funches. He tweeted like, rest in peace Quibi, thanks for giving me all that money, because I think he had a contract for a show. I don't know if it ever made it to the streaming app or if he just got paid and produced some of it. I don't really know what the timeline was for his stuff, but cool people like Ron Funches, he got some money out of Quibi, so it wasn't all that bad.
Yeah, no, and I think again, as as an on and off fan of Reno 911, again, sketch show very hit. I think that's great that they were able to bring all the cast together and do new episodes, even though some of them were successful. So I think that there is a home for small form content. It's just what a horrible fucking time to come out. So sorry to see it go, but we love to watch you leave, I guess.
R.I.P.
Yeah. So that's gonna bring us into the QuaranStream, Mike. Did I talk about something? I don't know. I'll figure it out later. I'll go back later notes. But I'm gonna let you kick it off because you've been watching more stuff than me this week. What's up on the QuaranStream?
Finally finished Orphan Black, so I thought I would chime back in. I told y'all I'd have it finished by this episode. Last week we were finishing up season 3. The week before that we had just started it, so after 5 seasons we finally wrapped it up. I'm glad it had a good ending. You know, I'm not going to spoil it here, but I feel like with any sort of drama type show, once I get towards the last quarter of the series, you know, once you get about 75% of the way through, I start to get a little nervous because I've been let down before. See Dexter, see Game of Thrones. You just really want them. They don't even have to stick the landing, just don't fall completely over. So I would have to say they stuck the ending. It was a good satisfying time. If you just need something to sit down and binge, which a lot of people need during this time, Orphan Black over on Amazon Prime, I can recommend it. It's very consistent. You know, it keeps its quality up through all the way to the end. So round of applause for Orphan Black.
Right, there you go.
Next up, to get back into the Halloween spirit, you know, I like to jump into stuff that maybe I was a little bit too afraid to watch when I was younger because, as I said before, I'm a big scaredy baby of scary movies, so I don't really have a big library of stuff to pull from of things that I've watched, but I made my wife watch Jeepers Creepers with me because I kind of knew what it was about. So we checked this out, and I was surprised to see Justin Long in it. I don't know. I don't know any of the other actors in it, but Justin Long's is in it.
Well, I will also tell you, and this doesn't ruin it, he's in the sequel.
Yes, which I was very confused. You know, I guess you can infer what you want out of that. But these 2 movies, Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2, are streaming on HBO. So the thumbnails are side by side, and the thumbnails are screenshots from the film. They're not like covers, kind of like how Netflix does it. So Justin Long is in the thumbnail for the second one, and I yelled at my wife when she was out of the room. I was like, "Babe, Justin Long's in the second one." So we're gonna have to check that one out to see what's going on there.
I watched that as a I guess high schooler era when that came out. Yeah, so like I remember having this. I'm like, I don't dig on scary movies, but this was such an interesting premise for that kind of movie.
Two things I really like about it. Jeepers Creepers does a good job at the very beginning scaring you, or at least kind of creeping you out in broad daylight, which I think is a hard thing to do. And you are very familiar with growing up in the middle of nowhere in the country.
Very much so.
A little less so than me, but even in Indiana, if you're going between 2 cities, you're always going to be driving through like a big empty cornfield. So you can get that feeling no matter where you want in the Midwest. So it is a very interesting location to kind of play with when it comes to like a scary movie. And I just love the tension that they built up at the beginning of the film. It becomes something totally different in the second half. It becomes just a straight up monster movie that sometimes is kind of funny, but not intentionally. But, you know, the monster just does some kind of cool, creepy stuff, but kind of the mystery around him kind of gets dropped once he goes full on monster.
And I think it does a great job like building this world up where this thing can exist, this one creature, using literally an old 1910 song as the backdrop for this whole film.
Oh yeah, that makes it extra creepy.
Yeah,
right?
And then playing it on the record player, it's just the atmosphere is there, but it's not like your A movie. Like this isn't your tentpole blockbuster. This was definitely a B movie fun project someone was doing and happened to grab up and coming Justin Long of the 2000s.
Yeah, and this is definitely not scary enough. If you have like somebody that as a friends or family that just cannot handle scary movies, I think they can handle this. You know, so this might be fun if they kind of want to dip their toes into maybe something a little outside of a Hocus Pocus. You know, no judgment intended.
Yes.
But jumping off of Jeepers Creepers, today we just started watching the number one most talked about spooky thing this season is the Haunting of Bly Manor, which I confirmed when I clicked on it on Netflix is kind of part of the Haunting of Hill House kind of I guess world, because they kind of Netflix categorizes them side by side when you click into it. But from what I can tell after watching 2 episodes, you do not have to watch the other one to understand what's going on so it seems like they're doing more of an anthology here.
Yes.
But the Haunting of Bly Manor has been really fun because, Chris, you're a filmmaker, so you understand compositions and shots and tension and stuff like that. So this has been a really fun time for me because sometimes it's fun being scared, but also it's just fun watching a character walk down a really dark, spooky hallway, but they give you all of this negative space to like the right or the left side of the frame, and you just know something's hiding in it. So like every time they go to like a big wide shot, I'm like squinting and I'm looking all around the scene because they're hiding like these kind of, I don't know if they're ghosts yet. I don't know if they're demons. I don't know if people are sneaking into the house. I don't exactly know what's going on, but people are very silhouetted in the background, and like you can just kind of see a bit of like a hat stick out, and it's like, oh, that's not a hat rack, somebody's back there. So my wife is hating every minute of it, I would say, in a good way, because she's terrified of it. But it's just so fun because, you know, you do the normal kind of scenes where you're kind of building character relationships and you're kind of learning a little bit more about the mystery of this manor, and then bam, nighttime hits and somebody's walking like into like a dark kitchen, and like and you're just like, oh, what's hiding in the corner, what's over there, and things starting like we're only in episode 2, but things are slowly starting to get creepier and creepier and creepier, which usually you can't do with a scary movie, because like at most you have like maybe 2.5 hours, 3. I don't think I've ever seen a scary movie that's 3 hours long, but you only have so much time to where you gotta kind of wrap up the story. But this is 9 episodes, so they're just slowly turning up the creepiness, and it's getting tense, man.
Yeah, so like, you know, the way I'd been introduced to this series, it is a sequel loosely to The Haunting of Hill House. And my understanding is, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they use the same sets from The Haunting of Hill House in this. Is that?
Oh, I have no idea because I have not seen Haunting of Hill House.
I believe they use the same sets because that's how they were able to turn it around so quickly. But they dressed it up differently, but made it look, you know, it's the same sets. You can tell if you look closely, but like, it's supposed to be like the same staircases and the same thing. I could be wrong. This is how it was presented to me. But I mean, if that's the case, that's pretty cool. So
I mean, that could be very true. But also, if it's intentional, I mean, they're going for very classic haunted house looks. You know, you have like the grand foyers, you have like the big staircases, the kind of the larger kind of farmhouse kitchen feel to it. Yeah. You know, you have all of these different rooms and long hallways. So so even if it is a reused set, like it's intentionally like, oh yeah, well, they're going for a very particular look that people are familiar with.
And these are the same actors from The Haunting of Hill House in just different roles. So they're doing the what is that?
They're doing the American Horror Story thing?
Yes, that's what it is. So these are the same actors from Haunting of Hill House in different.
Well,
different
I guess
roles,
you can count me in as jumping in at season 2 and skipping season 1. But yeah, we're having a really fun time. Yeah. If I remember, like, since I haven't seen, you know, I guess we can call it the first season. I think that's more of a modern piece, and this one takes place in the late 80s. Yeah. So it's at least far enough apart.
Well, yeah, they're not connected because again, like I said, the actors play different roles. So, but I mean, that means you can jump in. But I think that's cool. Like, that's what they want to do with it. Like, that's how you do the approach if you got the creative force behind it.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, it's been a fun time. I love it when they're trying to hide stuff with the lighting, and you know, we've had like some creepy things happening in the background, but you know, it's all in like rack focus. So like, I'm like, what is back there? I can't quite see it. They don't want to show me, and then they kind of bring it in the focus, and then the scene cuts. So they're doing some really clever filmmaking. So if you just want some high tension, I would almost say I would describe it as fun. I'm having fun. So that's The Haunting of Bly Manor. And then probably like maybe the most popular thing this week, and I don't know if, Chris, you've gotten around to watch it yet, Borat 2.
No.
That dropped on Amazon Prime at the end of last week.
Yep, no, not yet. As I explained some of the work issues I've been having to you earlier, I've not had time to go watch anything, but this is on my to-watch list. You've watched it. The reviews are coming in very, very hot, so I'm like, I want to do it, but I need to pay attention to it. I don't need distractions, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it was a great time. We went to a socially distanced backyard to watch it with a few other people. So I got to have the experience of watching it with a, albeit small audience. So that was really, really fun. My wife had never seen any of the Borat or the Bruno stuff, or, I even haven't seen the Ali G stuff, but, I had seen his other films. So this was a fun experiment for her to jump into Borat. And she can safely say you do not need to see Borat 1 in order to understand Borat 2. They actually do a good job at the beginning of this film kind of letting you know where Borat is now and how he got there, which involves kind of things that happen in the first one. So yeah, definitely not safe for kids, just like all of Sacha Baron Cohen's stuff. But Borat 2 was great. The first one I think had a little bit more like whoa moments, but Borat 2 is still hilarious, and you got to watch it.
Yeah, it's on my to-do list, so hopefully we can do that. The only thing I didn't get to do this week, as I said I was going to do, was watch Hellstrom, so I feel bad about that. But
don't feel bad.
I've got all week. I've got all week to get towards to Halloween for that, and some of the I want to watch some classic movies, Mike. I don't want to watch the horror stuff. I want to watch like Ghostbusters this week or something like that.
Okay,
because did you know that Bustin' makes me feel good?
Bustin' makes me feel good.
Exactly. You get it. They put Ghostbuster skins in Fortnite today. So you can run around and shoot people with assault rifles as Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Halloween time. There's only like 2 Halloween songs, right? I mean, after Monster Mash, you listen to the Ghostbusters theme song, and then what do you do after that? Just turn the playlist on repeat?
Maybe Werewolves of London?
Yeah. I'm sure that there's some spooky stuff, but it's just like those are number 2. Well, if there's like a Halloween playlist, you got to have those 2 on there.
Exactly. So Ghostbusters is actually going to be our first topic here because we got some bad news. Let's get the bad news out of the way. They have moved Ghostbusters back in the summer of 2021 from spring of 2021. So March to June. Sony, I think, is very committed to not releasing anything during a pandemic when the theaters are pretty much shuttered or at partial capacity. So we may see more Sony properties moving back, especially the other vampire movie, Morbius. So be prepared for more of that. But I just want to kind of get that out of the way. I'm excited to see Ghostbusters Afterlife. It's got a big cast. The son of the original director, Ivan Reitman, is in it, and it should be good to go. So.
Yeah, well, hopefully everything's safe by summer next year.
Yeah, gotta knock on wood. I really want to see a movie, Mike. I want to see something new. But that's fine. Instead, I've been taking up to reading. I told you I was reading Dune, right? I actually finished it this week.
How'd that go? Good?
Yeah. It's a lot to take in. It just, nothing against it. It just kind of ends abruptly, but I know there's like 8 other books in this franchise or more. So I think it's fun. I think there's a lot of words I can't pronounce out loud, but in my head I was making them up as I go. But it's very interesting. It's a space sci-fi, but it's not concerned about sci-fi and politics, or sci-fi like the science behind it. It's more about the politics and stuff like that. So like I said, it's a sandy version of Game of Thrones, if you will. But I recommend it. But that's not it. The Wakanda Files, a book based around Shuri's notes in the Marvel Cinematic Universe between the Avengers movies and Black Panther, has been released out in the wild. And this is technically an official MCU tie-in book, Mike. And it covers everything from Infinity Stones to Tesseracts, which we know are the same thing, alternate timelines, notes from Tony Stark when he was studying timelines, genetic anomalies for people living in Sokovia, wink wink, and more.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so that there are like a dozen or more articles about stuff from this book that came out this week. Like, so everything was like, this is in the MCU and this is MCU. So one of the examples is, if you want to learn more about it, they said that the people in Sokovia were more prone to have genetic anomalies in their DNA. So that's why they chose to experiment on them with the Mind Stone in Sokovia. They didn't just choose it randomly.
Okay, so they weren't genetically modified from like the city falling down. That was before any of that ever happened.
Yes, correct. So that's why people are like, maybe they're leaning into this, that maybe Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were mutants and the Mind Stone just activated their powers.
Really, when I think about this, I like to think about, what are all of the meetings that happened before this book could be written, right? like, is this actually a narrative, or is this just kind of one of those novelty books where, like, it's not really chapters, but it's just like, oh, here's a section of just, here are things that are fun things that define in Wakanda. Here's another section of, here's are the animals that live in the area.
It's a mixture of both because it's told from Shuri's point of view. But it is like she's just finding like notes or like recordings or like documents from like Bruce Banner or Tony Stark and stuff like that as like they were going. Like she actually considers from this book that Hank Pym is one of the smartest people in the MCU. Because he was able, because Tony Stark uses mechanical parts which are prone to failure, and Hank Pym was able to create particles to move things without actually creating moving parts. So
it's just crazy that whoever wrote this book definitely at least had one meeting with like Kevin Feige.
Oh, I guarantee you these are the post-it notes that fell off the board that they didn't use, and they was like, hey, you can have these. Because this almost seems like strategic. Because I mean, really, if you think about it, in the grand scheme of the MCU and the amount of money that they print, how much is this really going to financially benefit them? Like, it's going to be negligible when you look at it as like a line item on a spreadsheet for this entire universe. So this almost seems like a very strategic publication of just like, let's just get some of this finer information out there, let it disseminate through the big MCU fans. So when we start to play with this stuff in the future in the movies, it's not so abrupt. Like, like when we start to tell the mutant story, and we say that the mutants possibly originated in Sokovia, at least we have a little bit of like a moment of the past of like, oh, this was seeded officially a little bit ago, and it could literally easily be retconned again in any movie if they wanted to, and just like, well, it was just a book for fun. Like,
exactly. They can have their cake and eat it too with this.
It's no concrete thing. It's just fun for people who want to dive into it. Like, I have the Marvel Cinematic Comic books, right? They're not canon, but they're fun to have some little information in there. Again, the first one, they had Fury's big week, ties of Iron Man 2, Thor, and Hulk together in the same week of the universe. So it was just little fun stuff like that. I think it was cool. What's also fun about this is, what are the little beads that are called in Black Panther? Do you remember what those are called?
No, I have no idea.
They're made of vibranium. Apparently, they comes with one that has like a little blacklight reader, and you can hold it to the book to see like hidden messages in the pages.
Oh, that's
and stuff
fun.
like that. So I'm like, oh. That's a little bit of a fun thing. So this book I think is retailing for $60 right now. So if you see it, pick it up. Great for Christmas presents.
I thought this was going to be like maybe $15-$20. Okay, that's they might make a little bit more money off it, but really not that.
It's a hardcover. It's a big book. It's a large collection of things. It reminds me of like what do they do for Star Wars, the visual dictionaries kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So like large pages, hardcover, stuff like that. I might put it on one of my Christmas lists because that would be really fun to kind of dig into. On the flip side of Marvel, Shang-Chi has finished principal photography on the film now.
Was that supposed to be a pun because he's a kung fu master and does flips a lot?
Yes. I'll own it. Only because you let me have busted makes me feel good. At the top of this.
Who doesn't feel good with a little bit of busting?
Exactly. I mean, ghosts don't. They're like, I don't want to get busted, but this is not what I signed up for. I'm here to haunt. But again, back on topic. I was told we should have a thing, like a sound clip in here whenever we bring something back to the topic of the show, like superheroes, like how we did with what was it, Death Becomes Her? Alan Silvestri back. Like, we should have
it's like I feel guilty if I detour too much, so I gotta weave it back around some way.
Yeah, it's fun to do. But Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings wrapped principal photography. What that means is all the main action scenes with the actors are done. They will probably be doing B-unit stuff, secondary filming for background, stuff like that, B-roll. But this kind of puts it on course for release next summer, right? Like, if that's done, just little wrap-ups here and there. What are they called? Reshoots later.
Yeah.
So.
Simu Liu, who is going to be Shang-Chi, he was in an episode of Orphan Black in the last season. Orphan Black, that's shot in Ontario, actually ran through all of the Canadian actors in Ontario, it seemed like. So it's happy to see Simu Liu on screen whenever I can. So he really knows how to use his Twitter account. He's really funny. He knows how to engage. So I'm really looking forward to this dropping so he can have like the big fame that I think he's earned.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited to see it and see what kind of story it tells. It's a martial arts film, really, in the MCU, and we've not had one of those yet. And hopefully it ties in the Ten Rings, which was seated in Iron Man 1, Mike. That's how back to Ten Rings go, so that'll be fun. This was breaking right before we started recording. We were actually talking before we were recording. Hawkeye has confirmed it will be filming in Atlanta, Georgia, but at the Tyler Perry Studios.
Ooh, and I hope you're ready, and I hope you're happy that you're listening to the Superhero Slate, because we looked it up on Google Images to let you know exactly how far apart Tyler Perry Studios is and the MCU. What were those called? What's
the Trilith Studio. It was originally
Trilith.
Pinewood, Atlanta. We talked last week. I think it was renamed Trilith. They are 25 miles away from each other.
I don't know why you need to know that, but that's the first thing that popped up in my head. It's just like, were they like across the street? I've never been to Atlanta. It's a big open area, but I was like, maybe there's just one big warehouse district where they film everything.
No.
That's not really the case. They're about like 30 minutes apart. If you were, because I put in the driving instructions. It take you about 30 minutes to go.
We do the research you want to do, but you forget about it because you're driving in the car listening to us. We pulled it up. Tyler Perry Studios are more downtown, if you will, Atlanta and proper, and Trilith is more was it Fayetteville, which is south of that, and looks like they're building some new buildings down there at Trilith, so some expansions, if you will.
Yeah, there's like we were stalking it on the Google satellite, and like I said before, like I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but people of Atlanta, get some high-powered binoculars and head out to these studios. Like there doesn't seem to be a big gigantic wall. I mean, if you're out here in LA, there's big old walls blocking it from even looking inside. But like I was on Street View and I could like see the front door. So like get your binoculars out. And to be fair, well, I think we have to say what billionaire Tyler Perry Studios. So Marvel's just giving him a little bit more money, but
and that ties back to the Hallelujah I dropped at the top of the show. So I mean it's whatever. Wherever they got to film it, they're going to film it. I don't think this affects the production too much. It's just they're putting a lot of eggs in Atlanta's basket right now with Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, and what was the other when they're filming down there? I think it's one
Falcon?
of them. No, I think it's a movie. It's one of the films, but we'll figure it out. So.
I think there's one bit of speculation maybe we could pull from this. I mean, Tyler Perry is a little infamous for working with actors and people outside of the unions. That's kind of how he makes stuff on the cheap and gets a really big return on a lot of his stuff. So if you have a whole studio filled with a lot of people that aren't tied to like the union workings of Hollywood, and you're shooting a big MCU thing within Tyler Perry Studios, I'm just saying there's a chance that we might have some leaks coming out of Tyler Perry Studios, because you got just like randos off the street who are like hired by Tyler Perry on the cheap to be in like one scene of a movie, like carrying a smartphone around like, oh shit, is that Jeremy Renner, and he's got a bow and let's take a picture of that. So I don't know, maybe we'll see a couple extra Hawkeye set shots that normally we wouldn't see.
I'm hoping to get some casting announcements on this pretty soon. We've said I forgot her name, I just had it on the tip of my tongue, was supposed to be Kate Bishop, the chick from Bumblebee. It's not Haley, is it?
Haley Steinfeld.
Haley Steinfeld, there it is. So hopefully we get some casting studios and get this rolling before too long. We need that content. Speaking of content, we're going to space this next Friday, Mike. The Mandalorian Season 2 is dropping on Disney+.
Yes, premium content. That's what I'm talking about.
And here's the thing. Some people work at home, can watch it on the easy. Mike, looking at you. Some people have to go into work and can't watch it till I get home, looking at me. So try not to send us anything throughout the day. Wait till Saturday, at least, before you tell us anything. We will love to talk to you about it. Yes, but give us some time to do it. Because this first episode is rumored to be 52-minute long.
Ooh.
That is the longest episode so far of The Mandalorian. The previous ones from season 1 were 35 to 45 minutes, so sounds like they're going a little longer, pushing that narrative a little farther for this.
I mean, that's good. They've established a lot of stuff already, so it looks like maybe we can really dive into some deep Star Wars lore.
Exactly. We know who the characters are. We know what they're up against. So where's this going to go, Mike? Are we going to get any cameos in episode 1?
Well, I mean that's the big question, right? The biggest spoiler that would have been from season 1 is we got Baby Yoda, or the child, in the very first episode. So if you weren't on top of Mando, as soon as it dropped, you were already behind. You were seeing all the memes already. You're like, wait, what's going on here? Oh man, this is all spoiled for me. So if we're gonna have that big moment in that first episode of season 2, yeah, you got to be on it quick.
You got to be on. Stay off the internet. I'm probably gonna stay off as long as I can, as much as I can. And it is it's gonna be a long day, but I'm excited for this. I'm excited to have some new content, dive back into some quality Star Wars, Mike. We haven't had quality Star Wars in a hot minute.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird. If you're an American, episode 1 and episode 2 could possibly bookend a very, very large election that's taking up all of the air and all of the news cycles here in this country. So it's weird to think that episode 1 drops. Maybe we'll have the results from an election, and then we can watch episode 2. It's just really bizarre imagining like those 3 things happening in order.
It's definitely an event-filled fall for sure.
Yes.
So it's exciting to see the Mandalorian and come back into some content that we can talk about. Probably won't cover it till the end just to be safe, but I'm excited to get back in there, see what we got. Speaking of that, though, Ewan McGregor was on set in season 1, possibly season 2, to do camera tests in his old robes for the Obi-Wan show.
Ooh, nice. I mean, it's probably safe to say that every Star Wars show is probably going to use that volume shooting set, right? I mean, they've kind of set it up to like, this is how we make Star Wars now.
I heard somebody else had built one of those, and they were doing it. Maybe down in Australia. I think maybe Marvel's doing one in Australia for Thor, and somewhere else. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's really what they should do. But also, like, the director of The Mandalorian, I think it was one of the episodes. I've got to pull it up here because I don't have the director's names in front of me, and I feel bad for it. Is in charge. Deborah Chow is in charge of Obi-Wan show by herself. So yes, she would have to bring in, like, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna use the same studio over and over again, the volume to make our show. So I'm excited for that.
I'm really curious how the volume's going to evolve over time, right? I mean, they've really figured out how they want it to work for Mandalorian, and I suppose it could even evolve there over the seasons. But I wonder if it'll take different shapes because as we've seen in the behind the scenes, it's kind of like a dome, right? That you can fit props in and screens all around. But I wonder if they'll maybe like make pipes or tubes, because as of right now, a character can only walk so far between left and right. But what if you made something like longer and skinnier, right? I mean, historically, it seems like so many like science fiction TV shows always take place in like these like corridors or these hallways of like spaceships. You just throw a bunch of crap on the walls that look science fictiony, and oh bam, you got a hallway for like for a spaceship, right? Or like a big spaceship. So it'd be cool if they maybe made a volume that was a really long tube, and you could kind of do these really long walk and talks, right?
Well, as the first volume was essentially a demo project for Jon Favreau, right? I definitely see them as a like, look, this technology works. Green screens are a thing now of the past. We're going to be doing all our backgrounds live in the Unreal Engine. So we're going to be building all of our sets that can work with this, not just this one volume. So I 100% think we will see large arenas and maybe even smaller square rooms that aren't so round. So like you could like change what's on a wall of a house as they walk through it. Wouldn't that be weird? So
that would be cool.
Yeah. So I think they'll still have it, but I fully expect them to be doing more of those. But Obi-Wan, that's exciting. I want to see this show, right? We've wanted to see an Obi-Wan series for how long now? Forever.
It's been a bit.
15 years probably. So knock on wood. Raya and the Last Dragon, the upcoming animated movie from Disney, dropped its first trailer this week. And I'm sure you're right on it, Mike, watching this. I think it looks fun. It looks like a great movie.
Yeah.
Little fun little anime movie.
Yeah, if you fell in love with Avatar: The Last Airbender this year when it came back to Netflix, I think you'll see a lot of similar influences here. I mean, this is an animated movie that's made by animation professionals, and everybody in animation loves Avatar: The Last Airbender because it's such a good series. And you can see a lot of the inspiration there, right? You have like her big animal friend that's like a hybrid of, looks like two different animals, like a roly-poly and, I don't know, maybe a bear or some sort of mammal. They did that all the time in Avatar, of mashing two characters together. I saw a side-by-side where her kind of blue tunic, I think is maybe how you describe it, looks a lot like not Korra, Katara in Avatar: The Last Airbender. So there's a lot of similarities there, and I'm sure a lot of similarities with a lot of other Asian culture stuff. So it looks cool to me.
Yeah.
It's pretty badass. We haven't. Did they show? They didn't technically show any dragon in the trailer.
I did not see anything or heard anything about what this last dragon really is. The last dragon is actually voiced by actress Awkwafina, who I believe is also in the Shang-Chi movie. But I did not see anything about it as well.
That's interesting because this is a very kind of, besides the little comedic stinger kind of at the end, this is a very dramatic trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, Awkwafina is a very comedic personality and even voice. So if she's voicing a dragon, I wonder if it's going to be kind of like a funny kind of reveal of like, look at this crazy, kooky, wacky dragon.
The last dragon is not what you think it is kind of thing. Like, that's the reveal.
Yeah, but I mean, all of Disney's stuff for the most part has been pretty good because it's weird. They compete with Pixar, but they're all owned by the same people, so they're not really competing. But Moana was great. I liked the first Frozen. The second Frozen was a little meh for me. But this looks fun. So yeah, all of Disney's animated stuff has been good. Wreck-It Ralph.
Good.
So yeah, nothing to report that's negative here.
Yeah, definitely a beautiful film. They didn't really give a whole lot away. There's the little roly-poly dude who seems to be a little funny. This reminds me a lot of Moana, in terms of the humor and like the young woman's journey to save her country and people a little bit. But I mean, that's not a knock on my part. I'm like, great, we like Moana. Like, great. I want to see what kind of songs they have in this.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I wonder, has there been any confirmations if this is going to be a song movie? Or
I've not seen anything like that, but, they at least have at least 4 songs somewhere in this. So
give me songs. I've really pivoted in my life here on planet Earth. I feel like the first half of my life, I did not want any songs in anything that I watched, but now I'm just like, no, songs. Everything needs to be a song. Give me all of the narrative in song, please.
Well, I just looked here. Bruno Mars is confirmed to be in it as a voice. Vanessa Hudgens. These are all those
singers. Are all singers. Yeah.
Yeah. Dave Bautista as well. So as a voice actor.
not quite the singer that I know, but it'd be interesting to hear him sing.
He can do it. And then lastly, again, just to tie it back to other nerd cultures, Kelly Marie Tran, who played Rose Tico in Star Wars, is the voice of Raya. And honestly, I didn't even think of that the whole time I was watching. This was like that came up later. I'm like, a voice actress is doing great. Sounds good. Sounds convincing to me. So nothing against it. I think this is looks like a fun little movie.
I'm down. We'll
get on that later. Gonna move on to the big topic this week, Justice League. I don't know what to do with this. This is definitely a lot coming at me here. So
every time we have Snyder Cut news, I do not know how to talk about it.
Yeah. So the biggest thing here, Jared Leto, his version of the Joker, will be making an appearance in this movie. He's on set for the refilming they're doing right now. What? Was he even in the first one to begin with?
God, I don't know. I feel like all of Snyder's stuff outside of Man of Steel, so basically Justice League and Batman, Superman, I just can't remember what was in what movie, right? We'll go ahead and unbury the lead here. We're going to be talking about Deathstroke here in a second. I was trying to think, where was Deathstroke in this? I know
he was in the Stinger. He was on the boat.
But at the end of which movie, though?
Justice League.
Batman vs. Superman, right?
No, it was Justice League because Jesse Eisenberg, his character Lex Luthor, was back out on the boat at the end of that movie.
Oh yeah, because his stinger in Batman vs. Superman is he's in jail.
Yes, and he's losing his hair or whatever. Yeah.
See, it's just all, I don't know what's where. Like, there's a good chance that Snyder's just pulling stuff from BVS and throwing it in Justice League. Like, no, this was in my original cut. Like we said at the top of the show, is he really cutting anything anymore? There's no more cutting. Yeah. He's pasting. He's getting new stuff. He's going back to Hobby Lobby. He's getting new stuff, and he's just throwing jewelry and like decorations on it. It's like, this is, I mean, you know what, more power to him, because like, if you're gonna be giving me something that I've already paid to watch, this just goes back to us paying for the extended edition of Batman vs. Superman, thinking it was gonna make a difference, and it really didn't ultimately. And I had to pay for that one. So like, if I'm already paying for HBO Max, just give me something crazy. Like, if those executives are dumb enough to give him more money, use all of the money that you can peel off of them, and just throw Jared Leto in there. Like, go hire new actors. Well, you know what? Put a 4th act onto the film. I don't care.
Well, here's the thing. This was the reason this brought up is people are like, well, does this mean that he's going to do an Ayer cut of the Suicide Squad with more Jared Leto to fill out this movie. And
you
I'm
know
like,
what? Put it all together. It's not even Justice League Snyder Cut anymore. Just call it like the Snyder's DC season 1. And it's just like
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, he just you just cut back and forth. You know, like they do it in TV shows all the time. You cut from A story to the B story. Guess what? Now the A story is Justice League. The B story is Suicide Squad. Bring them all back in. They can all join together in the climax, and they can all fight whatever CG creature you want to fight. Right?
Yeah.
You can just do both cuts at the same time.
Yeah. So I mean, this is wild. He wasn't in there that I can think of to begin with. But then the other thing is, someone saw was a League of Legends stream that Joe Manganiello is rocking his Deathstroke hairstyle. Then they confirmed that he's going to be he's on set right now too, and they're going to take his end credit scene and put it back into the movie where it was supposed to be, not at the end of the movie. On top of that, Ben Affleck, Ray Fisher, and Amber Heard, who played Mara, are all on set right now filming.
Oh my God, Amber Heard, why are you there? Well, I guess chronologically,
she was in the movie.
Yeah,
she did the air bubble.
Yeah,
they did the air bubble scene in the.
Yeah. Oh my God, I'm just trying to make sense of all that. I thought Amber Heard met Jason Momoa in Aquaman. Like, no, I guess they were technically in Justice League.
Because he went to like Atlantis and was like, I need a trident or my outfit or something, and she's like, air bubble in the water, and then. Justin Lin, I think, who did Aquaman or whatever. He was like, we're not doing the air bubble in Aquaman. They're just going to talk underwater like fish people would. So I don't know. Ray Fisher, he's all against DC right now as well. Ben Affleck, he's not even the newest Batman anymore. Like, he's out. So I don't know what's going on, Mike. This is quite
wild.
This reminds me of the new zombie Skittles, where one of them's or a couple of them taste really bad, but like some are really good. So we don't know if we're gonna get yet.
I will say one tragedy from kind of Snyder's universe ending was we never got to see Manganiello do anything cool.
Yeah.
Right? He just stands there in his costume. He looks badass. There was even some like pre-released like kind of
the test footage,
test footage of him just being badass and like so like I just want to see him like swing the sword, like fight something. Like it doesn't even have to be a superhero. Just like battle somebody with that uniform because it's really cool. And you know we may never see it again, but I suppose if you're bringing them back, at least have them do a flip. You know, have them do something cool.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to the beginning of this. Let's bring in the Ghostbusters, Mike. They're gonna fight ghosts, and they're all gonna team up together. The Justice League and the Ghostbusters, and they're like, you know what, busting makes us feel good. Let's take down these. They're parademons, Mike. Those are like ghosts, right? So, I mean, we're pretty close here.
Wow. Yeah, you got to throw in the Suicide Squad. You know, it's the whole kitchen sink, you know, methodology. You know, just throw it all in there. You know, it's like the opposite. You know, you had Patton Oswalt on Parks and Rec back in the day, who did that filibuster where
Star
he brought
Wars
in all of the
Avengers
Disney
filibuster.
Marvel stuff together. You know what? You just need Patton Oswalt to head on over to DC and just pitch something else. All right, let's get the Suicide Squad in here, and then everybody dies at the end, and then the new Suicide Squad from James Gunn comes in.
Here's the thing: they're not going to take his idea, though. I mean, Zack Snyder is not going to listen to anybody but himself, and that's where we're at right now. So. We're going to see. The other thing is, on this firm, the Snyder Cut, the Director's Cut, whatever they end up calling it, John Berg and Jeff Johns will have elected to remove their names as producers from this movie because they did not work on this version of the film. So if you like the first one better, you can thank them. If you like this one better, you can unthank them. So that's what it boils down to. Apparently, this does not have anything to do with the legal battle they're having with Ray Fisher over whatever that happened there.
Yeah,
so,
well, I believe Ray Fisher's beef was more with Joss Whedon than anybody else.
It was all three. He's named all three of them now.
Oh God. Okay.
Yeah. It's getting big. It's getting big. So, but Ray Fisher.
I only laugh because I just have not been keeping track of it. This could be all very real. This could all be very very honest truth telling. But I've just lost all track of it.
It is. I want to know what the end result's going to be, and that's really where I want to stand. What's the actual truth and how did it play out? So
it feels like litigating like the heir and fortune that like a loved one leaves behind when they die, but then they came back as a zombie, so now you don't really know what to do. Like, oh, we all thought you were dead and we were arguing about your money, but now you're back, so I guess we wait a little bit longer. So weird scenario.
Yeah. Put him on Judge Judy. Let her figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like that. Do that. Speaking of Suicide Squad, we got the upcoming Empire magazine cover. It features the new Suicide Squad and full cast here. It looks pretty fun. I always forget Weasel's in this.
Chris, that's the first place I went.
It is
when I open up, because there's like two covers. They're like the exact same thing. I think it's just like two different photos.
Well, one's got James Gunn in the middle, and they're all like relaxed and happy. But this is the official movie one.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I was just like, okay, where's that weird weasel? And he's just in the background being creepy as hell.
They use the same weasel photo, and then they got King Shark looking pretty cool back there. Again, if you've not seen Harley Quinn on HBO Max, I'd recommend it. And then all the other characters I don't remember. I know John Cena, he's getting his own TV show, so he's up there with this big shiny dome on. And was it Nathan Fillion over here as well? So I think the guy who plays Rick Flag looks more fit for this movie than he did in the first one. It looks like he's bulked up a bit.
He's the most normal person.
Yeah, I think he is the only normal person. He just has to lead them. So I think this is cool. You know, I mean, it's coming along. There's a lot of hype. James Gunn's been doing great. So do that. I've included, if you don't know who any of the characters are, I've included it in our notes so you can look up who the character is and who the actor is and try to line them up because, you know, SEO purposes mostly, but they're there for you guys if you want to look at them. I think it's fine, right?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Moving on. Arrowverse. Mark Guggenheim has stepped away from the Arrowverse, this universe he helped create. Apparently he's been gone, or like not doing a whole lot for a while, but he's like officially doing it. Like Crisis on Infinite Earths was like his last big event when Arrow kind of ended there. So
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot left anymore, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Arrowverse is over. Supergirl's wrapping up.
Supergirl's his, and then Legends of Tomorrow, I think, was his other project he helped kick off. But you know, that's evolved into something different now.
Yeah, I feel like Legends can't have that much more. I mean, even if it has an audience, and even if it has even if it's having quality stories, I just feel like, you know, like all of these other shows, it's just going to run out of runway at some point in time. So yeah, there's just not a whole lot of universe there for him to oversee.
Yeah, and a lot of his stuff is gone, right? Like, so it's not like it's he was doing a whole lot anyway, and that's fine. But his focus is going to be on the Green Lantern show. Which we got a little bit of news from that, and he was at like an online Comic-Con this week. He says the HBO Max show of Green Lantern is going to be written like a TV series across 8 episodes, I believe he said, but produced like a movie, like the quality of a film. So
I guess, is that kind of like Feige talk? Is that what Feige was giving us for these Disney Plus shows?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds like a similar way to say it.
Yeah, because he said Guggenheim, he doesn't believe that 8 to 10 episode series can be written and filmed like one long movie. Because there's always like flabby episodes in the middle. And I would agree if you go look at all the Netflix Marvel shows they did. 13 episodes was, 5 too long?
Yeah, there's flab in there for sure.
Yeah, like you gotta trim that fat and keep it a very lean show. So I agree with him there. But I did not know he's also part of 2011's Green Lantern. It's like part of the writing production team on that. So I was like, do we need to give you Green Lantern again? But apparently they didn't use his script at the end.
I guess there's still stuff swirling around Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern. Like, I guess his account had liked a tweet that was talking about like Snyder's like cut of something. I don't know.
Oh, there was a joke. There was a joke that he was going to be in it, like do a cameo in the Snyder cut, but that was just like a joke that he was doing.
I don't know. It just seems like Ryan Reynolds is still very much attached to Warner Brothers in some way. So I don't know. Maybe we'll be seeing him again at some point in time over at that studio.
Yeah, and I looked up here. Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim both did the screenplay and story by, but apparently, if you look it up, the director just totally went off script for a lot of it. So, good for them. Good for them.
I'm really curious to see how this Green Lantern show is going to turn out, right?
Yeah.
Because the Arrowverse shows have a very particular feel to them. Like, at times they can be really fun, they can be campy, but I think everyone will agree that they're very cheap, right? You're making like 20 episodes of a superhero TV show with VFX in every single episode. Like, yeah, you're stretching that budget to hell. You're just trying to get them on the air as soon as you can. So if you trim it down to 8 to 10 episodes and you're given a lot more money, I hope that all of these creatives involved prove that they can make something really premium, right?
Yeah.
Because I never think of the Arrowverse and think premium at any point. So hopefully they can kind of make that jump and really use that extra money.
Well, apparently this is not tied to the Arrowverse, thankfully. It just his name was. So hopefully, like, yeah, I agree. Like, he's not stuck in the mindset of, what was it, 2011, 2012 when Green Arrow started.
You don't have to cut any corners with this budget, hopefully.
Yeah, or you just stay true to the characters and let the production team worry about the production, right? Like let them make sure it looks good. Don't worry about it. Just write your script, write your stories, tell your characters, and go that way. I'm excited for it. Again, Green Lantern is one of my favorite DC characters. I have a bunch of their books behind me on my shelf here. And they're sci-fi. They're about, again, the rings are the emotional spectrum, and they're like rainbow colors, and there's all sorts of fun stuff in there that you can do visually. Because, like, again, a Green Lantern, they don't have physical powers. They create constructs out of the rings, right? So you're gonna have to have a CG budget to make this work, or otherwise you're just like, he's got no powers. He can just punch people. So that's exciting. And some interesting news here, Mike. I want to get your opinion on this. Sony, I believe, who's the company behind this, or maybe I don't know who does James Bond. They are shopping this movie, No Time to Die, to streaming services. They're like Apple and Netflix.
That's like a Freudian slip, Chris, because when you ship people together, you're kind of creating a romantic entanglement.
Exactly, and then I said Apple because I moved them together. But so they're wanting to. They apparently every delay of this is costing them money, right? Of this film, which makes sense. They do all the advertising, and then they can't use any of it, and it's gone. So they're wanting. I think this is like next year right now, but like they want to put it off, and they're wanting someone to buy this for about $600 million to put on their streaming service. So I am all for this, but damn, that's a price tag.
Yeah, I mean, who has the wallet for that? Definitely not Quibi. That's not going to be safe. That would be hilarious though, if Quibi has like one last-ditch effort to save their streaming service. They'll put James Bond on there. Oh, that'd be hilarious. But, I mean, to me, it seems like Apple, right? Doesn't it just, when you think of the James Bond aesthetic, doesn't like Apple seem to make the most fit?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's really how you make business decisions, but it seems like Apple's got the cash, right? I mean, that's probably one of the biggest downsides for Apple Plus. Is that what it's called? Apple Plus? Yeah, Apple Plus. That's one of their biggest downsides right now is nobody's talking about it. They actually have good stuff on there. We've watched a couple things on Apple Plus. I've been hearing good things about Ted Lasso. That's supposed to be a good show. But beyond that, nobody's talking about it. Nothing over there is viral. Nobody's sharing screenshots. Nobody's making memes out of any stuff that's over at Apple Plus. So, I mean, if they want eyeballs, if they want headlines, if they want people subscribing for it, like maybe that's what Apple needs to do is drop, over $500 million to acquire like a big movie that a lot of people want to see. Like, I don't think Netflix needs it, right? I mean, Netflix would much rather buy, like, they want the opposite end of the spectrum. They want to buy a movie on the cheap that gets a lot of eyeballs, but also is not good. So they're looking for that kind of very specific, I think like, Cloverfield paradox, right? I don't know. Maybe this is something Apple could pull off. I mean, I guess Bezos over at Amazon Prime might be able to.
I'd say Amazon was the other one, because I watched all of when I started watching the James Bond movies, they were on the Amazon servers, right? You could go there and pick all the James Bond movies and go through them. So that's where I kind of put it to that, was that. But, I think Apple would need something huge to lock in their subscribers, right? You want to sell so my TV has Apple TV Plus built into it, and I can watch it there. But like, if you don't have an Apple TV compatible device, you would need to get one. But also that runs the point of are people who just have Apple phones going to watch it? You want to push it towards a bigger screen experience to get that return. So I could go either way. I want to watch this movie. I want to see it in the theater, of course, but like maybe release it in the theater later, but get it on a streaming service now. Kind of thing.
Maybe. It seems like if Apple did it, they would maybe tie it to an announcement, right? They usually, if they're thinking that this could possibly be coming out on a streaming service maybe next year, I think is it March when Apple usually does an event? Yeah,
there's a March. There's one more event left for this year. Remember they announced their Apple Silicone products?
Oh yeah, the new MacBooks that come on.
So the MacBooks chips. And the iMacs would be a great experience to watch this movie on our newest computers with the highest resolution screens. Would be one way to do it, or they could. But so the problem is with the one in March, it's all tablet focus. So you're like, hey, watch it on your iPad. I don't know. Who am I to tell people where to watch their movies? But that's. I don't know what that is. How do you? I mean, would you want to watch this on a streaming service, or would you want to wait till theaters to watch it?
Oh, I think James Bond would be a great thing for me to watch streaming because I've kind of checked out of Daniel Craig's Bond franchise. I saw Casino Royale and I had a great time, and then it's just kind of been a wishy-washy experience ever since then. I haven't even seen the most recent one,
Spectre.
I haven't seen Spectre, so it's just like, I'm just not invested in it. So if it was just streaming on a service I already pay for, I'd watch it.
I mean, I think I saw Skyfall and Spectre in theaters. My story with James, my first James Bond movie I ever watched was actually Casino Royale. But I played the hell out of Goldeneye. But I just never watched the movie when I was younger. But Skyfall, beautiful movie. I'm glad I got to go watch that in theaters. Spectre, could probably care less if I saw that in theaters right now. So No Time to Die has definitely got me kind of like in the same boat where I'm like, I'd probably watch it at home. That's fine with me. So give me something to do. I want to see this. I want to see this happen, and we need to get. I mean, we don't need to, but I would love to have some content out that we could watch this movie, this quality stuff. That's not like, hey, we threw this together really fast. Good luck, kind of thing. So, knock on wood, Mike. We'll see how this plays out.
Yeah.
On the flip side here, Uncharted, the movie that is in production. I'm going to show you, Mike. You get Mark Wahlberg with a Sully mustache here on Instagram. You click on it, it's going to play some sound. Be careful. But it's just Marky Mark with his big old mustache there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I clicked on it hoping that he would, I don't know, maybe reveal what voice he might be using for Sully.
No.
I mean, Sully has one of those, if you've never played the games before, he has this great gravelly voice that just sounds like a guy that's been smoking cigars his whole life, and like Mark Wahlberg's voice is miles away from that. He's like, he has this like
walking here.
Yeah. So it's just like, I do not picture him, like it's hard for me to imagine him even putting on an accent to be Scully. But then also I try to think, well, this is technically kind of a younger Drake, but at the same time, like once you get to a certain age, you kind of stop changing. I can imagine Tom Holland growing up and growing into the role of Nathan Drake, but it's just like Sully, like I think in the video games, I would maybe say he's in his late 50s, 60s.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of coming up close to retirement age. So it's just like, even when Nathan Drake was younger, Sully was still an old guy. He's got that old man mustache. So I honestly didn't even know Mark Wahlberg was supposed to be Sully. So there was a lot of news to intake with this one link here in our show.
Yeah. Mark Wahlberg is Sully because Tom Holland is playing a much younger Nathan Drake. Again, like I said, the time scale slides down. They wanted Mark Wahlberg to be Nathan Drake a long time ago, but he obviously aged out of the role, much like Nolan North, who voiced Ryan. He can't go back voice one, but we have
The mustache looks good on him. I would say he looks like Sully, but the voice is not there.
Well, I mean, they will ADR a lot of it. I'm sure he's just doing this weird Instagram post because this whole is a reaction to Tom Holland's first look as Nathan Drake in this movie. And he appears to be, in this photo, I saw an article saying fans were divided. I don't know how you can be divided about this, Mike. This looks like Nathan Drake.
Ooh. It's great. Not only is the costume just like perfect from head to toe. This is just the spitting image of Nathan Drake. He is in the perfect setting. He is like, his character is at home at his peak when he's on like a blown up artifact, and it looks like this is like maybe a ship that is like shipwrecked on some sort of mysterious island where he's going to go treasure hunting and scaling stuff. I mean, like, there are plenty of set pieces within the 4 games, and technically there's 5 games where there's like blown up, ripped to shards, like splinters of wood. So I mean, everything about this picture to me screams Uncharted.
He's got like I said, the long sleeve shirt pushed up to his elbows. He's got straps on. Those look like gun holsters, maybe, around him. That he's got there, a ring around his neck of some kind. The decor is nailed. Like, it looks like a set piece from the game. Like, you got to run through here and get to the next one. You're gonna have to jump through some of these broken windows.
Yeah, like if you look at it a certain way, you could almost think, I mean, as we've seen video game makers changing the faces to look like Tom Holland, this looked like it could be a screenshot from like the next gen Uncharted game. It looks so good. I mean, that ring is very, very iconic to the series. At that age, he would have that ring around his neck still. So this is great. I just hope the story gets there, right? I mean, I never got around to watching that new Tomb Raider movie that came out, but it sounds like it was just kind of okay. I hope this isn't just okay. I want this movie to be great.
Yeah, and you get Mark Wahlberg, Tom Holland, big name actors. Ruben Fleischer was the director. is the director, and so I think you've got a lot of things in his favor, and this has been a long time coming for this movie. So looks like looks good to me from the looks, Mike. I mean, we don't know what the movie is going to be, but let's cross our fingers. It looks as good as these photos. Mm-hmm. Lastly, Mike has graciously offered to hold off watching the aforementioned JITSU trailer we brought up last week on the show. He didn't watch it. He saved it because he wants to do it live on the show for you guys right now at the end of the show.
Actually, truth be told, I just forgot to watch it when Chris brought it up at the end of last week's show. So when we kicked off our recording session day, I was like, oh yeah, that Nicolas Cage movie. I never watched that trailer. So yeah, I'm going to watch it here live on the show. Chris is basically just going to cut out the minute 48 seconds of silence. And then you're just going to hear my first reaction of this wildness that he says I'm going to experience.
Oh, you're going to totally experience. I had listeners write in about this already, Mike. So let's jump into it. You ready to go?
Yeah, I want you to give me a countdown. I got it ready to go.
Okay, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh no. Oh no. What is this? What? Oh no. What? The spaceman. The space? That's Crabman. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Ah. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I
you
can
go.
fly too. And a couple front flips to go with that. Oh my god. This is total Nick Cage in the prime of his late stage career, just being so weird. I was honestly expecting it to maybe be a little bit more high budget, and it's not. That alien is just in a bunch of hockey pads, and they did some weird sort of effect on his helmet. Frank Grillo and Crabman from My Name is Earl looks like they're gonna be in here. It doesn't look like Crabman is doing any sort of jujitsu, so he might just be a side character. I think I saw I can't remember any actors' names right now. I think I saw Senior Chang from Community in there. What's his name again? He's one of the judges in The Voice.
You mean the Masked Singer?
Yeah, the Masked Singer. I can't think of his name, but I think I saw him in there. Wow, that was just Chris, that's crazy. Everyone's got to go watch this trailer. It's hilarious. Yeah. It's hilarious. It's kind of cringy.
I told you, it's like Nicolas Cage leans into the psychotic craziness in this. Like what do you say? He's like, he said, I'm crazy or something like he even says it in the trailer. He's like, yep, we know, man. We know you're good. I can fly too.
Wow, I'm glad I waited to watch that. This looks like video on demand. It has it written all over it. I don't know if I saw a theater release date anywhere on there, but this looks like it's just begging to be like, $6.99 on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Wow. It's maybe they'll put it on whatchamacallit, premium access on Disney Plus for you, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the first to say I don't think I technically really know what jujitsu is. I know it's a martial arts and it's a fighting style. I mean, I saw some like punches and some grapples and some flips. I don't know if that's jujitsu by definition, but wow is all I have to say. Jiu-jitsu. Yeah, go trailer in the show notes. Go check it out.
Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what I was talking about last week. This is something you don't want to miss out on because this is going to be a guilty pleasure movie later this year, Mike, when it comes out, or next year, whatever. But it's essentially The Predator, but with Mortal Kombat rules. So definitely wild. All right, well, thanks for doing that for us, Mike. I always appreciate your reactions.
No problem.
All right, well, I think that's it for the show. Again, just a reminder that Bustin' makes us feel good. Ghostbusters. I'm trying to throw it in here as much as I can this week. So we're at the end of the episode. I can tell you, listener of the show, Adam, big Ghostbusters fan, told me, he's like, I bet you can't get it in there more than once. I'm like, you watch me get this phrase in this episode. So I didn't want to learn you into it until we talked about it.
Well, we had to get in as much as possible because when you tune in next week, it'll officially be November. And depending on how stringent you are with your holidays, you're either in Thanksgiving mode or you're in Christmas mode. And I guess it also depends on the part of the world that you're in. Who knows what mode you're in November. But yeah, we got to get all the Halloween stuff out before this episode wraps up.
Exactly. So if people want to know what you're doing, what you're up to, where they can find you at?
Well, they can find me at Mike Royer Design on Instagram and Twitter, and you can read my webcomics at pickledcomics.com. Chris, if people want to catch up with you, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, or hit me up on Twitter, Valdan, Valdan. You can talk to me there or play with me on some video games. If you're on Xbox or PlayStation, hit me up. I like to play with the listeners, have some good time. We can shoot some stuff in Fortnite or play Avengers, whatever we do.
Yeah, go play with Chris because Bustin' makes him feel good.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm glad you're in on it now because it feels forced at this point. But it's a good time. So yeah, hit me up there. People want to know more about the show, where they can listen to us at. Where can they find that at? Leave us a review, maybe?
We have a beautiful hub, also known as a website, at superheroslate.com. That's the best place to find all the avenues we host our show and to get our awesome show notes. Lord knows that's the only place you're going to find that jiu-jitsu trailer anywhere out there online. I assume people are not talking about it anymore, so if you want an easy way to get that, that's in our show notes. And you can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you love to listen to find podcasts. Please like us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and you can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. Like Chris said, we love it when people reach out and talk to us, let us know what you want to talk about, but we also love reviews. So if you want to leave a review for the show, if you haven't already, we love that wherever you love to listen to us. And we love the super fans of our show. So if you want to be a super fan of Superhero Slate, all you have to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, wear a mask, wash your hands, social distance, bustin' till you feel good, and you'll be a super fan of the show.
Yep, that's right. We'll catch you guys every week, including next week. Have a happy Halloween.
All right, bye everybody.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to subscribe.
Tyler Perry. That's hard to say really fast. Tyler Perry.
Well, hallelujah, Mike. You almost did it.